And we're live. Thanks for
Hope
joining
so.
us today, guys. Let's switch it over. Robert Fish is in the house. All right, Robert. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Uh,
Hello.
yeah, Robert. Go, brother.
We
All
made
right.
it.
Well,
We
we
made
got a lot. We got a big subject today. We got big subjects today, so let's just take a minute and let me put some tunes on. Something a little relaxing, maybe. Come on.
Yeah.
I'll turn that down a little. Doesn't need to be so loud, and we will put that on repeat because whoa. Okay.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for joining us, brother. All right. Well, let's anything to say, Robert, before we get going? Any comments on what's been going on in the HO world? I know there hasn't really been anything too spectacular going on lately.
Things are still kind of slow. We're waiting for quite a few cars from Outer World, but it's kind of the same old stuff, different job. But
And
anyway,
sorry,
there's
go on.
hey, Clint.
Yeah, the big news, of course, is this chassis from Auto World, and we'll get into that in depth in a moment. We also hear there are rumors that AFX has something interesting in the mix going on, and there's lots of secrecy about what it is. So I guess we could speculate again. I just remind everyone that the last time me and Robert were speculating, we brought it. That pretty much brings us to today's show. We've been talking about this forever. Finally, it's out. Now I hear some good. And then, of course, I've heard some not so good. So what we're only doing today, obviously, we do not have it. It will not be available until the new year. And at that, Auto World is very specific in saying that they are only going to have it available in sets for the first little while, which is kind of okay with me at this point because shockingly, Slot Valley Racing does not exist as an HO racetrack anymore. It is now a super speedway. I'm readying it to be digitized, and my whole layout will change to a digital HO track with the super speedway on the outer edge, of course, once again. So currently, I couldn't even run a car on Slot Valley Racing. It's no longer attached to the board on my pool table. But what does still exist is the super speedway around the outer edge. Got to have that HO, man. Got to be able to drive the cars. So, testing is constantly ongoing with the chips for the digital cars. And I already showed the digital track and what I did to it. Just show you this quickly. So essentially what we have here is the Carrera digital system, and it's now attached to the HO track, and you can see the sensor eyes right in front of my fingers here. So this is legit digital HO track now, and it's ready to roll. I've done my testing, and right now what I'm waiting for is the simplicity of this new Auto World car. And once again, we'll get into that in a moment. So Kim, I want to thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it. Clint, thank you, brother. Okay, so as we all know, there is definitely some big news. So I guess without further ado, let's have a look and see what we have going on here, what all the talk is about. So here we go. Okay. Oh, let me get rid of that last comment. Sorry, guys. right here. Oops. All right. So this is actually kind of a decent idea. Now, of course, Auto World is way behind on the CAN motor scenario. AFX has been doing it now for, geez, 10 years for sure. It's very cost effective to produce. When you look at a normal slot car, especially an Auto World car, there's 9 moving parts in the motor to make the car move. This is one, it's the CAN motor. Now I know you say, oh, well, got the same thing, it's just all inside the motor. Well, that's right, and we don't have to deal with that. So now,
Dad,
yeah.
You need to minimize our pictures. We're covering the pictures of the chassis.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
All right.
That will never do.
That's absolutely fantastic. You know why that is though, right? Because here we go.
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
That's a little better.
So when we get this figured out. Okay, so like I was saying, Auto World has this new design. You can see on the top picture there of the chassis, you can see their version of the analog chip. That's the equivalent to the let me get this. That's the equivalent to the AFX chip. Let me move. Okay, so are we looking at the the AFX chassis now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here you could see the chip in the front. This is the standard AFX chassis. I think this is the 1.5. It really doesn't matter. But you can see their configuration, the CAN motor with the digital chip in front. Okay. Now, these are both ideas. Now, in order for this chip to become digital, there's not really much else that needs to be done to this. This chip could be produced in a digital form. It's just only being produced in an analog form currently because that's all AFX or Auto World or any other HO chassis builder builds in. So it's all analog up until the point where I made the digital car. All right. So they have a really good thing going on. You can see here's one more look at the bottoms of AFX cars and how they're put together. So from the board, and I'll show you a picture of this too. I have a picture of the motor attached to only the board. And here what happens is the shoes actually connect to the board from the underside. Okay. Now I'll show you a picture of that. It's just the motor attached to the board. Okay. So here it is here. This is the motor attached to the board as it would sit in an AFX car. And if you look between the board and the motor, if you look down, you can see the brass or copper clip that the back of the AFX shoe would hook into. So that little piece of copper on the bottom there, that's where on the underside of the chassis you would hook the shoe into. So yeah, that's how that one would work out. All right, so here's now a look at the bottom where that is attached to. Okay, so here you can see that clip I just showed you. Here's where the shoes clip under it on the bottom of the chassis. So you can clearly see this is how AFX has chosen to do their CAN motors. Now, my digital slot cars were sort of revolved around this chassis and the motor, only because it was so incredibly easy to take it out and manipulate it. But the reason I had to manipulate it so much is because I had to connect the power from the track to the motor. Somehow I had to interrupt it so I could put the digital chip in there. So what I had to do is run leads from the top of the shoes and then to the motor, and then just cut it. So, and then when I cut it, that's where you put the digital chip. It's not a huge process when you think about it. It's actually really easy to do. So here, once again, you can see where the shoe would clip into on the very bottom underneath the chip there. All right. And of course, here's a look at the top and the bottom of the AFX style again. And the reason why I'm showing you guys this is so you can see the variation on how AFX and Auto World has gone about putting CAN motors in their cars. AFX did it a direct way where their shoe is directly attached to the board. And Auto World chose not to do it that way. Whoops, excuse me. Here we go. As you can see, what Auto World has done on the top picture, that is the top of the chassis. Now what they have there is actual like a little board piece that they've put the shoes onto, and I'm not sure what kind of setup they have here, but it has to be some sort of spring-loaded mechanism which is pushing against the board, okay? And then they run the leads, actual wires, to the chip on top of the motor. Now the genius behind this for me and making digital slot cars is they've already connected the leads to the shoes for me. All anybody who wants to run digital HO slot cars needs to do is cut the black and the red wire now and put a digital chip in between there. They've done all of the work for me. That was all of the work, was putting the leads on the front of the AFX shoes. So there's many ways to go about digitizing your HO cars now. It's going to become very prevalent really soon. Curious to see how the chassis runs. I absolutely agree with you, Mark. It really will be good to see, interesting. And of course, right now we're just looking at the extraction configuration. They have the configuration for all of their current line. Now they say that this is not the chassis that's going to be the big thing. They're still going to make their classic chassis. But you know, I really have to say, what I really have to say to that is, I don't think so. I really think that this is going to become their main chassis, just like AFX, and their other chassis will be part of some legacy builds or something, or some pit kits where you could build the legacy motors or whatever. But I'll tell you right now, guys, from a financial standpoint, and we all know that Auto World was in a very precarious position, and for all we know could still be. A CAN motor simplifies the process, cuts down 9 processes, and the fact that now a human being doesn't have to put together that motor. That is extremely costly, and there's absolutely no way they're going to continue building slot cars like that. Absolutely no way. No way. Welcome to the future. Everything's going to have a CAN motor in it, unless, like I said, it's going to be some sort of legacy build or whatever. I don't care. Auto World can toot their horn or say whatever they want, but when you're 10, 12, 15 years behind AFX, and AFX has been doing these cars this way for this long, just imagine that, guys. Like, for real. Auto World has been building all their motors the hard way for a very long time now. Very long time. Very long time. So now they've finally got on board. And I could probably tell you right now, one of these chassis that they are providing the CAN motor in are probably not going to survive. And the reason being for that is because if you put a CAN motor in a 4-gear, then what you have is a long extraction. So you might as well just build them all 4 gears and put them in extraction configuration when you're using them as an extraction car, and put them in a 4-gear as you're using them as a 4-gear car. They're going to become very handy. But like I said, I've heard stuff about people having problems. There was problems with them or something, but we do not spec. This is our opinions, right? I do not think that will be the case. I think that they'll have these figured out, at least enough where we could say, my whole thing has always been, if you got a brand new person who's trying to get into the hobby, you do not buy them an Auto World set, because there's an 85% chance that the car will go. That means there's a whole entire 15% chance that you're going to pop a spring or the car's not even going to move in the first place. AFX, I would say, is like 97%. That car will go. Whether it goes good or not, that's a different story, but it will go. Now, with these new CAN motors, this will make that success rate a lot better for Auto World. Now, that will be a thing. I do see that being a thing. So, what do we got? Not sure if I like the wires to the pickup shoes on the Auto World. Yeah, they're attached to the board, but there should be no reason for them being knocked around, because they're like static. They're not like bouncing up and down or anything. They're attached to the board and to actually both boards. They got 2 boards there, the one that actually holds the shoes and the one that goes to the motor. So it should be okay. It's an interesting idea though. Like when you look at how AFX did it, where there are no wires, they just ran the shoes right to the bottom of the board, which was an interesting idea and keeps it easy for everybody. Create a little pocket to put the spring in. Auto World, make a little pocket, not a goddamn pumpkin cup. Man, how inappropriate. There we go.
Doesn't serve the purpose really.
No, man. Good luck too as soon as it leaves that little cup.
But I have to question the whole use of these circuit boards on the AFX car and the new Auto World chassis. I mean, I've always assumed they're just for noise suppression, right?
Yeah.
And to stabilize the current, so it smooths out the current.
Right.
But for example, not Jag. Is it Jag? Nope. Who am I trying to think of? That does a lot of inline chassis for the Thunderjet cars. Oh my goodness. Old age creeping in. It's just too much knowledge up here.
Slot Car League of Champions, thanks for joining us, brother. I appreciate it. Good classic videos, man. Love those shorts. So the answer to your question is yes. The CAN motor, even if you look at AFX controllers, they're 100 ohm. And they're controlling the CAN motor cars. They control them really well. So Auto World, I'm not exactly sure what Auto World would have that might be able to control a CAN motor car, but I guess we'll see. That's their own scenario. For all we know, they've developed new controllers and stuff. I doubt it, but it's
So
possible. Was a good question.
Sorry, the point I was trying to make before is Dash makes a whole series of inline motor chassis, and they don't use any boards.
Right.
And as far as I know, I've never heard anyone complain about the way The dash chassis run.
Well, and we've already known that, Robert, because when I built the digital HO cars, I took the board out.
Yeah.
So it's not necessary, whatever they're using it for specifically. It's not, it absolutely does not need to be there. So, yeah, it depends on the ohms. It absolutely does. So that's why, I mean, AFX decided to go with the CAN motor that they went with, and their 100 ohm controller controls that really good. Now, I find if I run Auto World with the that ohm controller, things get a little squirrely. Cars like to just jam all of a sudden and stuff. But that's to be expected. It's the wrong ohm for the car you're driving, right? So,
Okay.
yeah, that's the green board is composite fiber reinforced melamine. That's what they're using instead of having the wires shaking around. They just have that board in the front, and then they have the they got to be spring loaded, the spring loaded shoes, and those shoes have to change, man. That is not adequate. They that'll do, but they could do better. The shoe could be definitely a little bit longer. It doesn't have to be so short like that. So yeah, pickup shoes also look on the small size, right? And I just mentioned that. Mark's one step ahead of me down the road here, brother. Yeah, for sure. You ask all the same questions because it makes sense. Anybody who's in the slot cars or HO slot cars is really all over this, because this is very unique, right? This is almost as unique as building a digital HO slot car track in cars. So it's that same kind of thing, right? They've just reimagined. Basically, they pretty much built what I built. Makes me wonder if maybe they saw my videos, because apparently this chassis is not production ready yet. So, you know, and which chassis is going to be ready first? Or are they doing them all equally? It's very strange, because the pocket and how the motor sits in will be a little bit different for all of these cars. It probably won't be standardized unless it's, like I said, in a 4-gear chassis. Are the shoes spring loaded? I believe they have to be in somewhere.
Yeah.
They have to be, yeah.
I would assume the pickup shoe is like a U type.
Guide pin. Slot Car League of Champions.
With the spring in the center.
That is a really good question. Let's have a look at that. What do we got? Let me move this to the top. Sorry. Okay. So you guys are seeing this too. It looks just like a standardized pin. Oh, now the comment's in the way. Yeah, it's a standardized pin. Nothing special there. Nothing at all. But they're definitely, the shoe pads are inadequate. First off, they're rounded. They're completely cupped, so you'll never get it flat on the track. You'll have to squash it slightly. There'll be very little connection currently, and if you look at how the shoe is configured on the bottom here, there's only rub right in the very middle of it. That means this shoe is cupped like a banana, and right away I could tell you I would be flattening that as flat as I could to the track. And personally, I would just put a piece of copper braid on there. A piece of copper braid would make this thing run like a damn demon, no question. Super 3 is an inline motor. Oh, I see. Who's WA? Yeah, you see this, Arbuckle, this is a scenario where people are going to have to suck it up quite a bit, because this is going to be the new Auto World cost-wise. This is how it will go for Auto World. When that company took over Auto World to get Auto World back on track, round 2, pardon me, I guess that's what we're more concerned with here, round 2. You can bet that building all of those chassis the long way by a single person sitting in a chair at a desk building motors all day is not as cost efficient as popping this into a chassis. So I could almost tell you 100%, like I said, unless they're called legacy builds or something like that, the current line of Auto World product will change to this. Cut down the RF noise mandated by the FCC. Yeah, for radio frequency noise. Oh, are you talking about B4 chassis? Robert, sorry, holy, talk about old age, man.
Sorry?
Yeah, you see, this is what you're gonna need. There's gonna, if you have AFX and Auto World, you're gonna, whoa, holy jeez, you're gonna need a couple controllers, and it's gonna become getting out of hand. Once again, these two companies will start drifting away from a current product line. You don't need the board. No, my digital HO cars, I took the board right out. It was just in the way. Yeah, 120 ohms. Sorry, I'm saying 100 ohms. It's 120 ohms. You're correct. Yeah. The motor brushes were supposed to last longer if they're current regulated through the board. Oh, I've never heard that. I suppose it's a possibility. Well, before I even read this, Don, there are no dumb questions. There are really stupid answers. So let's see how stupid I can get. Sorry if this is a dumb question. What is the advantage to digital versus analog? Well, currently there is no such thing as digital HO slot cars, aside from what I've created, both the track and the cars. Most cars will come in an analog configuration. In fact, just about every car and every track in HO is analog, of course, which means one track, one car. Digital means one track, multiple cars, and you can control every car individually. So that's what digital would mean. That's the simplest way of looking at digital. It's the ability to drive multiple cars on the same track and have full control over all of them. So right now, without a switch track, I can run the two cars that I have digitally chipped on my digital HO track. I could run them on the same track, and me and Irene could have a race. But eventually, one of us are going to come up to the back of the other. But leading up to that, we're both racing on the same, we're literally racing our HO, because I'm going to rear end her or she's going to rear end me. And, you know, if you're not moving fast enough or too slow, then of course that's just how racing goes. But digital just means that you could have multiple cars on one rail. Digital usually comes with switching lanes, because you can with digital, you could be on either lane and it doesn't matter. Digital means you have control of the car. So how digital works is, first off, I'll explain analog. So how analog works is, analog, you're powering the rail by using your controller. So you squeeze your controller and that allows more power to go to the track, okay? With digital, you're powering the car, which is on the track. So you're able to move the car around from lane to lane and still have control over that single car. So that's how, that would be a Carrera digital scenario. Of course, it will work for HO digital as well too, but that's a whole nother subject and probably a whole nother day. So, and we're very, very close to that now. So very soon I'm going to get the digital HO club together and we're going to build our HO digital tracks, and it's not hard. I could lead anybody into doing it. I don't have any type of patent on it. However, I have proven concept and it does work. So you're going to have a hard time patenting it without my permission. But anybody who'd like to do it, I can certainly show you how. It's not a big deal. But back to this. So like we've had a look now, this chassis is, I believe it will be a hit. And the reason why I say that is because it has no choice. This chassis is absolutely the way to go for Auto World. And we all know anybody who's, like I said already, for all we know, Auto World has already dumped all their eggs into this basket because they financially have no choice. Okay. Now I remind you guys that 10 to 15 years ago, and I'm not sure exactly which one it is, Auto World, AFX Race Masters started making more profit. Because if you don't have to build the Mega G chassis by hand, imagine you're the guy and that's what you do for work. You go to work, you sit down at a desk and you build Mega G chassis all day long. So what is the difference between Auto World Super 3 can motor and the new can motor? They're all the same. They should all be the same can motors. I believe what Auto World is just doing now is they're just revamping their cars. So oh, right on. Hey, Slot Car Daddy, thanks for joining us, brother. Awesome. Kick ass lead up to your video, brother. Oh my gosh. Wow, that is going to be something. That will be something. That much I can guarantee you, brother. That is awesome. Right on. Yeah, good for you, Ted. Thanks for joining us, brother. I appreciate it. So here, let's okay. All right. So now what I want to do is just show you guys super quickly what I've done here. We'll go to, can I get this in full? Okay, so here's what I've done. Okay, you can see how I had to do the leads off the top of the front of the shoes. And then what I did was I disconnected the leads from the motor and just put the chip in between. And because it's an AFX motor and chassis, the reason why I chose AFX is this reason alone. Okay, there's the motor already right there. See it? That's it. So there's my digital HO car right there, guys. AFX cars, when you get them, make sure the motors are sitting in there properly. Very rarely will they actually be sitting in there properly and they cause a bad mesh. So, yeah, bad mesh, very bad. All right, brings me back to here. See what's going on in the comments quickly, because I can't do both at one time.
Lots of good comments.
Oh, obituary. Probably won't be able to play with or change the brushes. Absolutely not. That won't happen. No. What might happen though, obituary, is you may be able to change them out possibly, because like I just showed, you can get the AFX motor out of the chassis really easy, but nobody ever said I need to jack up the AFX motor. The can motors are already like crazy fast. It'll be all about the gearing and how strong your gearing is, because remember, as soon as you hit the controller, a can motor goes right there. Bam! Bam! It's like an electric car. If you ever driven one, the pedal is instant. The moment you squeeze the pedal, you're already rolling. It's not like a combustion engine where you have to work up the engine, and it's not like an old pancake or inline motor where you hit the go and then all 9 of those parts need to start working in concert in order for you to drive the car. That will not be the case here. This will be a get up and go. Yeah, thanks, Randy. I appreciate that. Right? This is the job for Mark, right? This is Mark's job here. For sure you'd love to do that, brother. Mark just wants to sit down and build awesome slot car chassis all day long. Except for you, Mark, you're going to be stuck building Auto World's T-Jet chassis. You won't get to do the cool ones like Viper and Wizard. Hey.
So to comment on Arbuckle's, he says the CAD motors for Autoworld look like off-the-shelf motors. I agree with him 100%. I don't think they were specifically made for these cars. I'm actually rather disappointed that the motors aren't a bit smaller, because the technology's there to make the motors much smaller. And you would have thought a brand new chassis would have benefited from that.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, I'm kind of disappointed with the Autoworld CAD motor before it even hits the shelf, I guess. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, lackluster, I believe, is a good word for that.
Okay, well, we've all seen how small the oh god, here goes brain block again. Oh my, yep, got me again. What's the European company? Bauer.
Bauer.
We've all seen how the Bauer CAD motor and the new 4U slot chassis or whatever it is,
B4
how
slots.
small that motor is. That's a pretty tiny motor. And the cars still boot pretty good. So it's not like they can't make smaller motors.
Well, when you build CAN motor, when you use CAN motors too, they're more efficient as well.
I don't know about that, but
I would probably say yeah, because everything's in a tighter unit. You're not relying on all of those 9 parts to be all working in concert with each other. You're just relying on the motor going.
yeah.
I think the best thing you can do for a CAN motor is run it backwards for a while, though.
Certainly better than putting motor parts into a chassis where there's a lot of variables fit-wise.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how they go about putting the CAN motor in all these different chassis, because they're saying they're going to put them in 4 different chassis styles. And like I said, one of them will probably disappear, either the 4-gear or I think the extraction might be tossed in favor of the current configuration where you can move into, this is of course a normal Auto World 4-gear, and you can move this into the extraction configuration so that it would be like this car. So what I'm saying is Auto World's trying to lean the meat even more, and I think the extraction chassis might end up going, because if you put that CAN motor in a 4-gear, guys, the 4-gear are no longer going to be slow and sluggish because they're all going to have the same motor. So that's another thing too, right? The 4-gear will no longer be the same. How do you put a top fuel, okay, on a CAN motor? Well, I did it, right? Through one of my videos, I showed everybody how to put an AFX chassis on these puppies, but it's crazy fast. It's like stupid fast. So, but how fast do you want to go, right? That's the money game. That's the money game, and that's going to be our next show. So the next HO News Weekly will be we're going to be talking about hopping up your cars, and of course you pay to play. How fast do you want to go? It's just like that. So maybe we'll see if we can get Mark from Mark's Slot Car Garage to join us, because he's the premium hop-up guy that I know anyways, so it only makes sense. Like I've always said, if you're not the smartest guy in the room, make sure he's with you.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. And this will be, like I said, like all of these chassis that are currently being built by Auto World now will not completely stop, right? Because That's all they have out there. So first off, they'll always be building parts for them, always. Okay. Now keep in mind, parts are where money is. So I doubt they're going to be putting those chassis together like that, but they are going to supply parts, just like they've said. They've always said that. But they're also making it sound like that these chassis will survive till tomorrow, and they're not. They're not. And if I'm wrong, I will eat crow. But I tell you what, guys, I'm very rarely wrong when it comes to HO news because I do my homework. And if you know what's going on, then it's not hard to find out the answers to the questions you're looking for. It's not. Very transparent, these companies, unfortunately, especially when you're going, you're being bought out and everything is sort of like a big globe. Everyone's watching, right? Everyone's wondering what happened to slot cars for the last 12 months. Auto World hadn't put out a slot car for 12 months. I don't know if anyone noticed that. But yeah, that was the case too. So Auto World is definitely getting ready to be pushing mass amounts of product onto the boulevard, I guess you could say, because this will all be stuff that we don't have. And as collectors or people who like to run the HO cars, um, we'll all need to have this. We'll absolutely need to have this. We'll have to try it. I'll tell you what, right now, I already know I'll be buying one of the sets, and I don't really want to buy a set, but like I said, I currently don't have Slot Valley Racing set up so that I can get the digital setup ready for HO because I already have my digital. If I wanted to, I could run my digital HO cars as I've already shown on my Carrera track, which I do all the time. But
We
that's the
seem
easy thing.
we're having a little issue with the sound there, Dan.
Why? What about it?
You were kind of cutting out there.
I'm cutting out.
You were. That sounds okay now.
It's not because I'm not close enough, probably.
Probably.
Yeah. Here, let me try this. Let me try this. How do I sound now?
That's fine.
How about now?
Good.
And now?
Yeah, it's all right.
It was better the other way.
No, that's good. That's fine.
The digital board's in play. The next thing should be a brushless motor. Yeah. That's right. And that's where they are right now. Thanks for joining us, JCB67. I appreciate it. Oh, yeah. You see, here's a very good question once again, Obituary, because this is the age-old Auto World question. Will there be lights for the AMP chassis? Well, it is let me show you. Okay, so when I showed you the digital HO chassis, okay, the one that I put, now on this chip, which is the same size, by the way, the same size chip in proportion to the AFX chip, okay, but this is the one I use to digitally control the cars. I have 3 plugins that they come with here. 1, 2, 3. I know it's hard for you guys to see, but take my word for it. There are 3 plugins, and what those plugins are for, good catch, are for this, okay? Now what this is, it's the lead for the light. I just put a light on this end, and then I plug it into that board. There's 3 spots for lights on this digital chip that I have stuffed into an HO car. So the answer is, I don't think so. They easily could. Right? Thanks for joining us, Mark. I appreciate it, brother. Good to see you. You have to put a resistor in between, and that's what these are right here. Otherwise, you'll pop the LED bulb. So, yeah. So there are lots of things you could do. I personally don't think that Auto World is going to move because here's the deal, guys. AFX doesn't put lights in any of their cars. And they should. But we've already talked about Auto World probably sitting on a pile of burning hot 1 cent incandescent bulbs that they probably have millions of because they bought some stupid mega buy or something, some dumb thing where you get 5 million for like $20 or something. So now they're torturing everybody forever trying to get rid of them. They should be LED. Nobody should be putting incandescent bulbs. No manufacturer should be putting incandescent bulbs into their cars right now. There's no reason for it. The world is not about incandescent anymore. The world's about LED, man. Takes less power. So it's kind of
But you're
silly,
correct.
but
It's probably a warehouse full of bulbs someplace that a never-ending supply that they're never going to get rid of.
thank you, Randy. I appreciate it, brother. Good seeing you again. We'll see you next week. Um, yeah.
Oh,
So, before we head out, we're almost. I believe we're almost at a. Oh yeah. Okay. So we're about 15 minutes away. We're gonna do about hour shows, guys. So before we head out today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the new AFX car. If I could figure out where I put it. Oh yes. Okay. So let me just blow this up a little bit. Okay. So there we go, guys. I wanted to ask you guys, do any of you guys currently own this car? And of course, this is the new AFX GT40. The I believe this is the Alan Mann. And if you do have it, what do you think? Okay, so we have two nopes. Yeah, I was on the fence about ordering this car just because geez, like it's still I'm still a collector to some extent. Like now, of course, I drive everything that I buy. Nothing is a shelf queen anymore. AFX taught me that, amongst other things. Um, so essentially, what they're doing right now is they're catering to the collectors and purely the collectors. Yeah, the extra blue patch of paint is not worth it. That is absolutely correct, and that's how I felt about it. And um, for me, guys, this is a this is an $84 slot car. How do you feel about that? Yeah. So AFX delivered to me. This was absolutely appalling. Um, not only did I pay for it while paying for it, but in order to get it to me, they wanted their handout again for another $13. So 10 different versions. Keeping in mind, one of those versions doesn't belong to AFX. That's a private build. The silver GT40, that is not an AFX car. I mean, it is an AFX car, but it was a private build. So AFX Rant Weekly, of course, Billy. Billy's here. We need Billy up here too. Yeah, not a proper rant without Billy here, man. Awesome, brother. Back to work. Oh my gosh. I feel so sorry for you. My heart just sunk, Ted. Fuck. Oh,
uh,
you guys didn't hear that, did you? My mic ain't working that good now, is it? All right, brother. We'll see you later. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. Yeah, this is what's killing us. But I can tell you right now, I've for a large part, I figured out what is going on. When retailers send stuff to Canada or they list it on eBay, they're putting it as the country of origin as the United States. And that's completely not correct. The country of origin for that slot car is China. And when you put the country of origin is the United States because duh, that's where you are, so you figure that's where it's coming from. No, that's completely wrong. And when you do that as a vendor, what you do is you cause import taxes because taxes haven't been paid on it for it to come into the country yet. That's the reason why when you put purchased in China or the purchasing company is China, sorry, country company, the taxes have already been collected for it to come into the country. and that's what makes a huge difference in purchasing off of eBay. I've noticed, anyways. That's just my after 4 years of hardcore buying slot cars of every scale. This is what I've come across. It's usually a vendor problem where they've listed it country of origin incorrectly. So, Steve Pataki's in the house. Thanks for joining, brother. I appreciate it. So, yeah. Well, what do you think of this, Steve? Now that you're here, what's your opinion on this thing? Yeah, this is right. This and that last throw out by Auto World 2 of the 20 cars or whatever it was. Like I said before, I believe that's Auto World trying to figure out which cars are making them money. So they're going to throw out all of those cars and they're going to see which ones are being bought. And then the rest of them will go by the wayside because, as we all know, once again, AW is in a very interesting position. That's a good question, but I don't see that. I haven't heard anything about it. They can certainly put a CAN motor in the four, like I said, a 4-gear. But a CAN motor would change the dynamic of a 4-gear chassis right away. We all know the 4-gear chassis is being slow and lumbering, and if it had a CAN motor in it, well, that would make it exactly the same as everything else. So no, every AFX car that comes into North America goes to Vegas first. And it only goes to their distributors in the United States and everywhere. So no vendor who's not a direct dealer of AFX gets the cars until every single direct dealer has their package. That's what I'm told. So if you're like a sub dealer of AFX and you're not a distributor, then you wait a long time. So yeah, and I literally just received this 2 weeks ago, and this car's been out for like what, a month now. So yeah, I can't do anything about that though. That's just how it rolls. What do we got? Maybe China has an industrial complex. Yeah, it's very possible, right? It's like McDonald's and their 100% pure beef, as in that's the name of the company, not the fucking product. Oh, not the product. God damn. Oh!
Excuse me.
Yeah, that's what I say. Oh yeah, that's a reoccurring thing for a long time, off and on, heavily. One day he's the king and everybody is squat, and the next day he's like, "Oh, I think I fudged up," kind of thing. So yeah, that could be a whole show in itself, but it never will be on my channel. So our opinions vary differently on how we react with the community and the people around it. So what do we got here? Our government makes it too expensive to import cars. Yeah, that's true. And that's the whole thing too, right? Very expensive. Makes it almost cost prohibitive. So
sad but true.
Yeah.
I mean, you're paying $35-$40 in the US, and up here you're paying 55, 60, 65. It's quite a difference.
Yep. And I wonder what the price point on the new chassis will be too, because they have to be lower. They have to be lower. The price point has to be lower because the labor is almost negligible now. You need to pop in the rear axle and you literally need to pop in the motor. It's no longer doing all of that and building the motor and they are so labor intensive, man. It's
Yeah,
so
you've
labor
probably
intensive.
cut out 60% of the assembly time at least. So,
Easily, instead of
but
one guy sitting at a
but
desk now.
I will be extremely surprised if you see any kind of a saving in those chassis.
I
Um, they
honestly,
will be
I don't
charging.
expect.
They
Yeah,
will be
that's not happening.
charging us for them.
They'll gobble it up some other way or thing. You know, we're not dumb. We're fairly smart people, and we know, like, there's a reason why AFX started building can motor chassis a long time ago, because it fit their business model way better and they're making more profit. There's no other way of looking at it. You know, an AFX car altogether has, like, if you look at it, the back chassis, the motor, right? I should say the back chassis, the back axle, the motor, the chip, and that's it. That's the main parts to an AFX chassis. Now, when you look at an Auto World part, well, you can't just say the motor, because the motor is, like, in some cars, in the extraction car, it's 9 parts. So that's the huge difference that Auto World. We'll see if Auto World makes, if they take advantage of their new savings, they could lower the price of the car and dominate the market. Bam, just like that. Just like that, because when you're AFX and you have a lead on your competitor who hasn't put out a slot car in 12 months, well, and you haven't taken advantage of that, that's very interesting. It's very interesting to me, and these are questions that, this is the reason why me and Robert decided to do HO News Weekly, because these are all the questions that not only I, but we as a community of HO enthusiasts would like to answer, or at least talk about. And yeah, it'll mean less tinkering and that kind of stuff, but it'll be good to see what they do with it and how it works out. Because currently, right now, Auto World is, like I said, they're at a a disadvantage right now, Auto World, because if AFX is building the same style car and they're putting a can motor in their whole entire line, and I mean, AFX, when you look at it, legitimately, AFX only has one chassis. Okay. It's exactly the same. They've just lengthened it. It's the 1.5 and the 1.7. That's all they got. That is one chassis, folks. That is one stretch chassis, is what it is. Okay. It's not like
Yeah,
Auto World, where they have the T-Jet and they have the 4 gear, they have the extraction, like, oh my gosh, what else? Oh, the soup, and then they designed the stupid 3, I mean Super 3, right? I don't know.
personally, I think if AFX was so interested in saving money, I don't understand why they didn't just build one chassis with 3 holes for the front axle and be done with it, right? Because the amount of difference between the length of those chassis is it's not worth the aggravation, really. It
You're
really isn't.
well,
You're talking
you're
about,
absolutely right. They could make the chassis a little longer at the front and put a second set of holes if you want a 1.7 chassis, right?
well, it doesn't necessarily have to be longer. They could use the shorter pickup shoes on the long chassis, right?
So the 1.7 is on the is here, of course, where my finger is, and then the 1.5 is on this side here.
Yeah.
And you can see it's very negligible, and you could easily build the chassis to fit both cars.
Well,
So,
traditionally, the old AFX chassis came with 3 axle holes,
right.
like, um, and I believe some of the Auto World ones still have a couple of holes on them. Like the 4 gear has a couple of axle location spots, and
Yep.
as does the extraction, I believe. Forgive me for I haven't looked at one for a while, but you know,
Yeah, this is a good point. Auto World being owned by the holding company, and will distribute their added CAN motor margin to their shareholders. Yep, that's exactly where it'll go, man. Yeah, it won't be passed down probably to us. It'll go to the people who are demanding more money from their shares. Yeah, that's exactly it. Super 3s have 4 holes for the front axle, Kim was saying.
Question for Kim though: why doesn't she like the 1.5 chassis? Is it?
I believe Kim is a he.
Oh,
I
I'm
could be
sorry.
wrong. This
I
could be a
apologize.
very easy mistake. Let's clarify this and move forward. I
I'm
believe
sure.
Kim is a he.
I'm sorry, Kim.
Sorry, sorry, guy. Kim is
My
a guy. That's
apologies.
right. I remember seeing a post or something at one point in time. So there we go. Okay, absolutely sorry, Kim. We're moving along. Yeah. So 4 holes in the Super 3s have 4 holes in the front axle. I don't have a Super 3 right now. Even my cleaning Super 3 is gone. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I can go to Temu or Walmart online and legitimately slot car sets. Yeah, there's tons of low budget, low wattage slot car sets on Temu. Yep. All right. So we're here, guys. We're at the hour mark. I want to thank everyone for joining us today in the first episode of HO Slot Car Weekly. In the future, if there's anything you guys would like us to bring up or have a look at, we'll certainly be talking about all the current issues. So if you guys have something you're not sure about or want to ask, please do so. We don't just sit here and wait for the next live to start. Me and Robert are always up to something. This is the reason we figured we would share all that with you guys, because, man, we talk for hours about the current AFX and Auto World scenario all the time. And, there's so much to be shared. So that's what brings us here. So, okay, so that is the case. It does have 4 holes. Now, when you say 4 holes, you mean like 2 sets? 2 sets of holes, right? I believe that's probably what's going on. Yeah. Okay. So, like I was saying, guys, if in the future there's something you want us to cover, or you've heard something in the community, like for now, we are itching. Oh, 4 holes on each side. We're itching to figure out what AFX has got on the burner right now. Something's going on. So, guys, keep your ears peeled and bring it back to the next HO Weekly. So, Robert, anything to say before we head out? Any parting words?
Not really. I think this was a pretty good discussion. There's questions that need to be answered, and a lot of things to ponder. Hopefully, they're going in the right direction. I don't know. I have my doubts sometimes, but time will tell.
Right.
Uh,
Yep.
I just be nice to get your hands on one of those new chassis. It's without having to buy a set right away, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to get around that one, brother. But that's
It's gonna
okay.
be
I've already planned for that.
it's gonna be a while, but it's gonna be frustrating for a lot of people. I think.
Yeah. Well, you see,
Yeah,
most people already have sets. So people aren't going to want to buy sets just to get the cars.
yeah.
So,
Personally, for me, I don't want to have to pay for the shipping for a set that I don't really want, right?
right. Right.
So
We'll have to see what. I wonder if Sunday Slot Cars will have any parts for that. Any or not. Pardon me, not parts for that. Any part of that. Because I guess if Billy wanted, he can get in race sets from HO. I mean, he legitimately does Carrera and that kind of thing, but
yeah,
he
he may
does.
have.
He is a HO collector. I know Billy's an HO collector, so there's all it's always an opportunity to get some more sets in. So, all right, guys. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. It's been absolutely fantastic. Once again, it's been a great time getting together with the HO community, sharing some news, and seeing some old faces. So for everybody I haven't seen in forever, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much. Make sure you stay tuned. I'll let you know when the next scenario for our little HO weekly soiree will be. And Robert will certainly post that, I'm sure, at Facebook, and I'll post on YouTube. And between the two of us, well, we'll see you next time on HO News Weekly.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thanks for joining us. Bye.